Hey, it's Kevin Lawton with the New Warehouse podcast here at MODEX 2022. It is the last day of MODEX, and we are going to be joined by our booth neighbors, eThium. We have Arvind Kolhar here. He is the program manager for eThium, and eThium has been incredibly generous as our booth neighbor. They've given us coffee and snacks and candy when I need a little bit of candy to get me through the day. So thank you to eThium. So Arvind, welcome to the show, and what do you think about MODEX this week?
Well, thank you for having us here. It's been fun being here at MODEX.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the first few times I think we've done something like this.
Right.
So getting that kind of exposure at MODEX has been really cool.
Yeah.
Trying to explain what we do, trying to teach people more about why our product is better has been interesting.
Right.
The kind of questions we get, and some of the things we've seen is really cool. MODEX has been, I think, a good experience for everybody that's been here.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot going on here, and obviously, everybody's trying to get everybody to understand what they do, right? And I think you guys are fairly new to the market, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about eThium and what it is that you guys do?
So eThium is fairly new to the market, but we as a company, eControls, we've been here for about 25, 30 years at least.
Okay.
Most of our business has been in the internal combustion engine area for forklifts.
Okay.
Almost any forklift that you see in the United States, if you open it up, you'll see one of our parts in there for sure.
Okay.
So eThium has been a major focus for us for the past few years. We believe that's where the new market is. That's where the next step is for the forklift. So we skipped the lead acid generation of batteries and we went to lithium-ion batteries, and that's what eThium is about. So we're trying to expand our footprint into the lithium-ion space, just because that's where we want to go as a company.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. And obviously lithium is certainly a topic that people are discussing here as it's kind of a newer technology to the space in terms of power for forklifts and things of that nature. But so now on your side, I mean, you guys are not actually providing the batteries themselves, right? You guys are doing something with the controls, right?
So what we do is we take batteries from our cell supplier, right? We don't make the batteries itself, but we build modules out of it.
Okay.
We put them together, build modules which are which you can stack some of them together, make it more depending on what kind of power you want, how much what your rating is. We can stack them together. The unique thing about our battery is that it works really well in hot and cold conditions. A lot of lithium-ion manufacturers right now have like hey, here's one that works in cold settings.
Okay.
Here's the other component that works in warm settings. So you have to choose between, do I want to use a cold weather condition or a warm weather condition? And one of the cool things about our solution is that it's the same battery. We have a it's a lithium iron phosphate chemistry batteries that we use that works really well in cold and warm conditions. And we have dynamic heating and cooling of the batteries. So we have real-time tracking, and we can do software updates. At any given point of time, we could look up a battery and see, okay, here's how it's charged. Here's when it's getting charged. Here's when it gets discharged. Here's how each of these modules is working. And we have the ability to transfer, or not necessarily transfer, but even out the performance of the battery itself. And it helps us having the knowledge of the forklift industry helps us in making sure that we're giving the optimum performance for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a key to have that optimum performance. And I think the idea that you guys are able to, have the same battery in both a hot and cold setting within one instead of separate batteries, I mean, that gives a lot of flexibility to operations as well, because maybe they have, some warehouses where it's a regular warehouse, there's no temperature control, but then maybe they have a warehouse where there is a cold storage area or something like that, and they need to move assets back and forth, and they don't have to worry about the battery, right? They can just switch right over, move it to that other building, and have no issues, right? So, which I think is a really great thing. So now here at MODEX, I mean, there's a lot of players in the lithium space, popping up and coming out, and lithium is certainly something that's part of the conversation, and I think there's there's a question around lead acid versus lithium ion.
Yeah.
Where are we going with lithium ion? So from your perspective, I mean, what do you think are the benefits of lithium ion, and why do you think people should start to look at switching over their fleets?
I think one of the major challenges that the distributors or the end users face with lead acid is that the charging time for them is so huge.
Right.
You have to charge overnight every time you use it, and then there's a cooling off period. So there's a lot of downtime when you use lead acid batteries.
Right.
Either, I think we've seen solutions where people will pull out a set of batteries, have them charging separately, and then you put another set of batteries in to drive around and work around that. The benefit of lithium ion in all this is it's opportunity charging. You don't have to charge it overnight. You don't have to wait for it to cool off. The performance of the batteries do not drop off like lead acid batteries do. You hit a point and then it's just downhill, and then you have to do a lot of maintenance on lead acid batteries. You have to so lithium ion is less maintenance.
Yeah.
It's more, how should I say it? It's consistent over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
The opportunity charging, you have to charge between breaks for 15 minutes, and you could still get a shift's worth of work done. And then having that ability to do that and having the reduced amount of downtime is a good benefit to have, especially with supply chain being the way it is, where you have to be on it and you cannot afford having downtime. I think it's very beneficial to forklift manufacturers to have lithium-ion solutions.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the increased uptime is certainly something that's a benefit. As you mentioned, the supply chain issues we're having, and the higher demand for us to perform, I guess, in the material handling industry and be able to get orders out the door in a timely manner, or at least the time that the customer expects us to get it out. I mean, we can argue whether it's timely or not, but that driving factor. I mean, you certainly want to have as much uptime as possible, and like you said, the opportunity charging chances it can really boost you and quickly without having to be down for a while, and able to use your assets more often in a more flexible way too, I think. So here at MODEX, obviously you mentioned, I think this is one of the first times at a show like this, and so as people are coming to your booth and learning or trying to learn about eThium, what are some of the questions that people are asking? What are some of the common things that they're coming to you with?
Most of the questions have been around what makes you so special compared to every other manufacturer out there.
Right.
What are the benefits of lithium-ion versus lead acid?
Yeah.
What's your warranty like? How do we get integrated into the forklift? Like, how do you charge it? Are you using a certain type of charger? I think those have been some of the questions that we've seen so far. And I think one of the things that we talked about as far as benefits for lithium-ion versus lead acid. Sorry, I'm drifting a little over here.
No, it's okay.
It's the efficiency part of it too, trying to get parts out of the door in an efficient manner.
Yeah.
That's been challenging to, I think, everybody. So
yeah.
So some of those questions that we've seen is, again, warranty. What is special about your batteries? How does it work in cold and warm conditions at the same time?
Right.
What's the chemistry of the cells that you use? So those have been some of the questions that we get asked. And, they're like, okay, we haven't heard this brand before.
Yeah.
So we try to talk about how our history with forklift manufacturers helps us be optimal for this market space.
Okay, and then so talk to us a little bit about the charging aspect, because you mentioned the opportunity charging, which is certainly a positive, but when it comes to the charger itself and installing chargers for lithium ion, how involved is that? Is there much change that needs to happen in terms of power to the charger or infrastructure?
I think there's still some more work to be done on that end.
Okay.
We've talked, I think we have a few chargers that we're compatible with.
Yeah.
But I think optimizing that would go a long way. I think that is still something in development per se, just because Tesla's got these supercharger network everywhere.
Right.
That works out really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think something like that would be beneficial for everybody. Obviously, it would be great if there was a one charger that fits all.
Yeah. Standardization. Yes.
But it's such a early stage that it's still being developed, and there are some good charger solutions that are out there.
Yeah.
I think there will be more that come up, and it's still in developing.
Yeah. So it's
part
still
of the equation, I guess.
right. So it's still something that's upcoming. Obviously, lithium-ion is fairly new to the market as well. So obviously we'll see how those things catch up, and it'd be interesting to see if there's a push for the standardization of those chargers as well, which I think would be a great thing for the industry. So we'll see how those things develop. So Arvind, I want to thank you so much for walking across the aisle here and coming over to the booth. It's great to talk to you and learn more about eThium, and really appreciate you guys' hospitality this week too as well. Yeah. So if people want to learn more information about eThium, how can they do that?
We have our website, eThium.com. We could go up there. We have our brochures, what battery sizes we offer, and a little more literature about what we do. Okay. eControls.com is another location you can go to, and we have our products page that gives you a brief history of what we do and of what we've done over the past few years. So those would be some locations to get more information from. And I think it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having us over here.
No problem.
If we had known, we'd give you more snacks and water, get you earlier. But every booth has been super nice. All the neighbors have been super good. So it's been an interesting few days.
Definitely, yeah. So thank you so much for that, and we'll put all information about eThium at thenewhouse.com as well. Yeah. So Arvind, thank you once again for coming by the booth and talking.
This has been fun. Thank you.